Good evening, and we begin at 5 with a Portland man pleading guilty to murder. Benjamin Smith, the man who killed 60-year-old June Knightley and shot 4 others at a protest in Northeast Portland just over 1 year ago, entering a guilty plea on all charges. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Laurel Porter. The news just came down earlier this afternoon, and next month, a judge will determine how long he'll spend in prison. Our Blair Best has been following the case and joins us from Multnomah County Court. Blair?
David, Laurel, the court proceedings wrapped up around 3:30 this afternoon, and I can tell you from being inside that courtroom, it was an incredibly tense moment when the shooter arrived. There was more than a dozen people there, many of them victims, and when they saw this man, I saw some women reach for tissues and wipe their eyes, just showing how hard it was for them to see this man in person. Now, there was a long, painful silence before the judge arrived, and when he did, he immediately acknowledged how hard it was for some of the victims here today, calling it a horrific situation.
For many of you, it's very difficult to be here, either in person or on the WebEx call today. There are just some life events that should not be part of the human experience, but they are sometimes.
Now, the whole proceeding lasted about 20 minutes, and 43-year-old Benjamin Smith pled guilty to all 9 charges, including second-degree murder and attempted murder. The shooting happened last February at Normandale Park on Northeast Halsey and 57th. Today, there sits a new memorial for 60-year-old June Knightley, who was killed. She and many others were there in support of Black Lives Matter when witnesses say Smith, who lived across the street, harassed them and yelled at them to leave before he pulled out a handgun and shot 5 people, killing 1 and injuring 4 others, including a woman who remains paralyzed by the injury. Smith was also injured from an armed protester who fired back, which explains why he was in a wheelchair today. Now, he also has a history of criminal offenses, and his sentencing date is April 18th. David, Laurel.
Blair Best reporting downtown. Thank you, Blair. We'll add the owner of a Portland auto sales business to the list of those fed up with crime. That is because she says over the past 2 years, 24 cars have been stolen off her lot. Felina Cha is the owner of International Auto Sales. That's a used car company on Southeast 82nd. The value of those vehicles, Cha says, more than $200,000. Now, Cha says she serves diverse communities in the neighborhood and really wants to stay in business. So over the past week, to keep people out and retain her insurance coverage, she installed a $65,000 fence around the property.
And we talked to our agent, and he said as soon as we make a claim, because we haven't, that we would definitely be canceled. And so in order for someone to pick us back up, it would need to be fenced. So we are going to start that process.
And one weekend, Shaw says the fence seems to be helping with no break-ins and no stolen cars.
A Clark County deputy who was severely hurt in an accident is now back home. This was a small procession of first responders today as they helped escort Deputy Drew Kennison. He had been in a rehab facility for treatment. On February 22nd, a heavy tree limb, likely weighed down by all the snow we had, hit his vehicle. Kennison had to have his leg amputated as a result.
A Vancouver girl missing for nearly 4.5 years has been found safe. Authorities say Aranza Lopez was 4 when her biological mother kidnapped her at a shopping mall and took her to Mexico. Now, the FBI worked with Mexican authorities to bring her home. Officials aren't revealing where the 8-year-old is now for her own safety.
In the homeless crisis, Washington County announced it plans to spend $10 million on shelters and housing support. The County Board of Commissioners approved the money today. It will pay for renovations and maintenance at existing shelters and help create new pod villages, serving more than 300 people in 7 different locations. You can see a partial list of those right here. Beaverton, Tualatin, and Hillsborough plan to create a total of 110 new beds and 105 new units.
A Portland grocery store chain has announced it is closing up shop. Green Zebra first opened in 2013 and featured healthy groceries and to-go meals. Its founder and CEO says the business has been hit hard by the pandemic, along with supply chain challenges, staffing shortages, and inflation. A long list there. Green Zebra has 3 Portland stores, which will all close at the end of this month.
Kids in Oregon may get some creative new ways to get to school if a bill passes in the state capitol. The bike bus bill would help pay for crossing guards at busy routes to school and even chaperones to lead a big group of kids on bikes. Right now, school transportation money can only pay for school buses. And with driver shortages, even that isn't guaranteed. As Daisy Caballero shows us, this bill could really open up some options.
And when you see the joy of children riding bikes to school, being outside with their community, I don't see how you can't support something like this.
Alameda Elementary School in Northeast Portland is nearing year 1 of its bike bus initiative.
Well, I usually come just to have fun with my friends.
An adult volunteer rides a bike route, picking up kids along the way to ride to school as a group. And a new Oregon bill may soon allow other schools to do the same.
I haven't really missed one yet since last Earth Day, and I'm not planning to.
House Bill 3014, also known as the Bike Bus Bill, would allow school districts to use money from their transportation budgets to fund other ways, in addition to still using traditional buses to get students to school safely, like paying chaperones to do a bike bus route or pay crossing guards at busy streets.
Oregon Walks' role is, we believe in active transportation as a way to get to school. And we believe that schools need the tools, all the tools, to get kids to school. Sometimes that's walking, sometimes that's taking the bus, sometimes that's biking, sometimes they literally just need a crossing guard. And right now they don't have those tools.
Alameda's bike bus relies solely on volunteers.
And, we don't rely on bus drivers to provide the amazing service that they provide for our communities, and we shouldn't rely on volunteers to provide this amazing service.
11 Oregon Democrats are supporting this bill, 7 in the House and 4 in the Senate. There's no organized opposition to the bill so far, and what could further its cause is the severe shortage of bus drivers across the state since the pandemic. Some districts like Park Rose and East Portland had to drop certain bus routes because they didn't have enough drivers. While the bill won't fix the labor shortage, it would provide safe alternatives to get kids to school other than parents driving them or buses.
That's why we need to institutionalize these types of programs, so they're not just based on inspired and motivated volunteers, but it's just part of, what we do.
We reached out to 5 school districts for comment on the bill, but have not heard back yet. The bill is in its early stages in the House and would need to pass that, the state Senate, and get the governor's signature. Daisy Caballero, KGW News.
Some of our lawmakers are trying to take how Oregon runs elections nationwide. Senator Ron Wyden and Representative Earl Blumenauer have introduced the Vote at Home Act. It would allow all American voters to vote by mail, provide prepaid envelopes to return ballots, and automatically register citizens to vote at DMVs. It's based on Oregon's mail-in voting system. Supporters say it will help people who don't have time to wait at polling stations.